May 5, 1945, 4 a.m., Okinawa, Japan, Private First Class. Desmond Doss crawls through darkness toward screaming. Japanese mortars are tearing apart the American position on top of Hacksaw Ridge. Bodies everywhere, blood turning the mud black. His company, the 77th Infantry Division's B Company, has been shredded. Men are crying for medics. Medics who are already dead. Doss carries no weapon, not a rifle, not a pistol, not even a knife. He's a combat medic, and he refuses to kill. His fellow soldiers mock him. They call him coward. They say he'll get them all killed. Some of them have threatened to shoot him themselves. But right now, on this ridge in Okinawa, 75 wounded men are trapped. Japanese soldiers control the only escape route. Artillery is raining down. The sun will rise in 2 hours, and when it does, the Japanese will counterattack. Everyone still alive on that ridge will die. Desmond Doss makes a decision. He's going back up alone, unarmed, into hell. What happens over the next 12 hours will earn him the Medal of Honor. He'll save 75 men, one at a time, lowering them down a 400-foot cliff face, while Japanese soldiers hunt him in the darkness, all without firing a single shot. Because Desmond Doss is a Seventh-day Adventist, and his faith forbids him from killing. And he's about to prove that you don't need a weapon to be the most dangerous man on the battlefield. Desmond Thomas Doss was born February 7, 1919, in Lynchburg, Virginia, a small town in the Blue Ridge Mountains. Churches on every corner. The kind of place where everyone knows everyone. Hoth grows up poor. The Great Depression hits Virginia hard. His father, Thomas, is a carpenter when there's work, an alcoholic when there isn't. His mother, Bertha, holds the family together through prayer and sheer will. The Doss family are Seventh-day Adventists, strict believers. They observe the Sabbath from Friday sunset to Saturday sunset. No work, no exceptions. They don't eat pork. They don't drink alcohol. And they follow the 10 Commandments, literally. Especially the 6th, thou shalt not kill. Young Desmond takes it seriously. When he's 7 years old, he gets into a fight with his older brother Harold, a childhood scuffle that turns violent. And Desmond grabs a brick, raises it over Harold's head, ready to smash his skull. Then he freezes. In his mind, he sees a picture hanging in their home. The 10 Commandments. Thou shalt not kill. He drops the brick. I runs to his mother crying. I almost killed Harold. I almost broke God's commandment. That moment shapes everything from that day forward. Desmond Doss believes that taking a human life, any human life, for any reason, is a sin, even in war, even in self-defense. It's not just a belief, it's the foundation of his entire existence. December 7, 1941. Pearl Harbor. America enters World War II. Desmond is 22 years old, working at a shipyard in Newport News, Virginia. He has a deferment, essential war work. He doesn't have to serve, but he watches newsreels of wounded soldiers dying on battlefields. Here, come tea. December 7, 1941. He hears the stories of medics running into fire to save lives, and he feels cold. April 1942. Desmond volunteers for the army. His family is horrified. His father begs him not to go. You can't fight, and you won't fight. They'll kill you. Desmond's response is simple. I'm not going to fight. I'm going to save lives. The army doesn't know what to do with him. He enlists as a conscientious objector, refusing to carry a weapon, but willing to serve as a combat medic. The army categorizes him as 1AO, available for non-combatant military service. Doss reports to Fort Jackson, South Carolina, for basic training. Hell begins immediately. Basic training is designed to turn civilians into killers. Every drill, every exercise, every moment is about preparing men to take human life efficiently. Except Desmond Doss refuses to participate in weapons training. He won't touch a rifle. He won't learn to shoot. On Saturdays he won't work, observing the Sabbath. His fellow soldiers despise him. They see him as a coward, a weakling, someone who'll get them killed when the shooting starts. They call him a disgrace to the uniform. Some of them corner him in the barracks one night, beat him bloody, tell him to quit. Doss refuses. The officers are worse. His company commander, Captain Jack Glover, tries everything to force Doss out. Extra duties, harassment, formal charges. Glover even tries to have Doss court-martialed for refusing to obey orders. The charges don't stick. Doss has a legal right to serve as a conscientious objector, but the psychological torture continues for months. Doss is isolated, mocked, threatened. Most men would break. Most men would quit or compromise. Desmond Doss does neither. He endures, he prays, and he waits for his chance to prove himself. That chance comes on a volcanic island called Okinawa. If you want to see how Desmond's story will keep going, please hit that like button. It helps us share more forgotten stories like this. And please subscribe if you haven't already. Back to Desmond. April 1st, 1945. Operation Iceberg begins. The invasion of Okinawa, the last major battle of World War II. 180,000 American troops landing on an island, 340 miles from mainland Japan. If they take Okinawa, they'll have a staging ground for the invasion of Japan itself. The Japanese know this. They're going to fight for every inch. Doss is with the 77th Infantry Division, known as the Statue of Liberty Division. They've already seen combat in Guam and the Philippines. They've earned a reputation as tough, reliable, effective, but nothing has prepared them for Okinawa. The Japanese strategy is different here. No suicidal attacks on the beaches. Instead, they've fortified the interior of the island. Caves, tunnels, bunkers carved into the volcanic rock. Artillery positioned on high ground. They're going to bleed the Americans dry. The 77th Division's objective is a 400-foot escarpment. The soldiers start calling Hacksaw Ridge. It's not a ridge at all. It's a vertical cliff face, pockmarked with caves and fortified positions. The only way up is a cargo net strung over the side. The only way down is the same net, or death. April 29th, 1945. Horrid Company begins the assault. They climb the cargo net, one man at a time, completely exposed. In Japanese machine guns open fire. Men fall, screaming, bouncing off the rocks. Some die before they reach the top. Others make it over the edge and die. Seconds later, Doss climbs the net. Bullets zip past his head. A mortar round explodes nearby, showering him with dirt and shrapnel. He keeps climbing, reaches the top, rolls over the edge into hell. The top of Hacksaw Ridge is a moonscape. Craters, destroyed trees, bodies everywhere. Japanese positions are dug into the rock, to snipers in caves, machine gun nests hidden in the rubble, artillery raining down constantly. Craven Company takes casualties immediately. Medic, hair. Doss runs toward the screaming. A soldier is hit, stomach torn open by machine gun fire. Doss slides into the crater beside him, starts working. Morphine, sulfur powder, bandages. The soldier is crying, begging not to die. Doss tells him he's going to be fine, even though he knows it's a lie. Another scream. Medic. Doss finishes with the first soldier, runs to the second, then a third, then a fourth. For hours, he moves through the chaos, saving lives, while bullets crack past his head. By the end of the first day, he's treated 15 wounded men. His uniform is soaked in other people's blood. But the real test is still coming. May 4th, 1945. The Japanese launch a massive counterattack. Hundreds of soldiers, supported by artillery and mortars, hit the American position at dawn. B Company is overwhelmed. Men are dying faster than they can be evacuated. The order comes down. Retreat. Get off the ridge before the Japanese surround you. The Americans fall back to the cargo net, scrambling down as fast as they can. Officers screaming, soldiers panicking, chaos. Within 30 minutes, every able-bodied soldier has evacuated. The only men left on top of Hacksaw Ridge are the wounded, 75 of them. some unconscious, some too injured to move, all of them abandoned. Desmond Doss looks at the wounded men, then he looks at the cargo net, where the rest of his company is already at the bottom, safe. He makes his choice. He walks away from the net, back toward the wounded. Captain Glover, watching from below, can't believe what he's seeing. What is he doing? Someone stop him! But no one can stop Desmond Doss. He's already gone. For the next 12 hours, Desmond Doss wages a one-man war against death. He has no weapon, no backup, or no support, just a prayer and a rope. He finds a broken tree near the edge of the cliff, ties the rope around it, and starts lowering wounded men down the 400-foot drop, one at a time. The Japanese are everywhere. Snipers, patrols, artillery observers. They know the Americans evacuated. They're hunting for survivors. Doss has to work in near silence, dragging wounded men through the rubble, avoiding detection, praying the rope holds. The first man weighs 180 pounds, dead weight, unconscious. Doss drags him 50 yards to the edge, ties the rope around his chest, and lowers him down. The rope burns through his hands. Blood runs down his wrists. When the rope goes slack, he knows the man reached the bottom. He pulls the rope back up. One down, 74 to go. But here's the thing. Nobody understands about what Doss is doing. It's not just dangerous. It's mathematically impossible. Having a 180-pound man down a 400-foot cliff with a rope takes enormous physical strength. Doing it once is exhausting. Doing it 75 times, over 12 hours, without rest, without food, without water, while avoiding enemy fire, is beyond human capability. Doss does it anyway. Every man he finds is a problem to solve. Some are unconscious, easy to move. Others are awake, screaming in pain, making noise that attracts attention. Some have shattered legs and scream when Doss lifts them. Others are gut-shot, bleeding out, minutes from death. Doss treats them all, stabilizes them, drags them to the cliff, lowers them down. Hours pass. The sun rises. Japanese soldiers are moving through the ridge, executing wounded Americans with bayonets. Doss hears the screams. He moves faster. A Japanese patrol passes within 10 feet of him. He freezes, holding his breath, lying flat in a crater with a wounded soldier. The patrol moves on. He keeps working. By noon, he's lowered 30 men. His hands are raw meat. The rope is slick with blood. His uniform is shredded. Every muscle in his body is screaming. He's been shot at twice, mortared 3 times, and hasn't eaten or drunk water in 18 hours. Normal men would collapse. Doss keeps moving. One of the wounded soldiers he finds is Captain Glover, the same officer who tried to court-martial him, who called him a coward, who wanted him kicked out of the army. Glover took a bullet through the leg and can't walk. When he sees Doss, he starts crying. Doss, leave me, save someone else. Doss ties the rope around him. You're getting off this ridge, Captain. You're getting off this ridge, Captain. He lowers Glover down. 31 saved. But Doss isn't just fighting the Japanese and exhaustion. He's fighting something else. His own body's limits. Around hour 10, he starts hallucinating. Dehydration, exhaustion, shock. He sees faces in the rubble that aren't there. He hears voices calling for help from empty craters. His hands are so torn up, he can barely grip the rope anymore. He prays over and over. The same prayer, Lord, help me get one more, just one more. Every time he lowers a man, he prays the prayer again. One more, just one more. A Japanese grenade lands next to him. He sees it, frozen in that half-second of recognition. His brain screams, run. But there's a wounded soldier lying 3 feet away, too injured to move. Doss throws himself on top of the soldier, shielding him with his own body. The grenade explodes. Shrapnel tears into Doss's legs and arms. Pain like fire. He's wounded now, badly. He doesn't stop. He drags the soldier to the cliff, lowers him down. One more. By evening, 75 men are at the bottom of Hacksaw Ridge. Every single wounded soldier who was left behind, all of them alive, because one unarmed medic refused to leave them. At the bottom, medics are overwhelmed. Soldiers are crying, not from pain, but from disbelief. How did he do it? How did one man save us all? Captain Glover, his leg bandaged, stares up at the ridge. Nobody knows. Desmond Doss is still up there, searching, making sure he didn't miss anyone. He checks every crater, every pile of rubble, every corner of that blood-soaked battlefield. Only when he's absolutely certain there are no more wounded does he finally allow himself to evacuate. He ties the rope around his own chest. His hands are so destroyed he can't grip the rope to climb down. So he does the only thing he can. He lets go and slides down the cliff face, 400 feet of volcanic rock tearing at his already shredded body. He hits the bottom hard. Medics swarm him immediately. He's lost blood. He's wounded in 17 places from shrapnel. His hands look like ground meat. His body is shutting down from exhaustion. The medics are shouting, trying to stabilize him. Doss looks up at them and says one sentence, "I'm sorry, I couldn't do more." Then he passes out. May 21st, 1945. Desmond Doss is being carried on a stretcher to an aid station when Japanese artillery opens fire. A shell explodes nearby. The stretcher bearers drop Doss and run for cover. Doss rolls off the stretcher into a crater. He's alone again, wounded, under fire. Again. Another wounded soldier is nearby, hit worse than Doss. Doss crawls over to him, treats his wounds, gives him his own stretcher. When the bearers come back, Doss waits 5 hours for another stretcher. When it finally arrives, a Japanese sniper shoots him in the arm, shattering the bone. Doss splints his own arm using a rifle stock. The irony isn't lost on him. The only time he ever touches a rifle is to use it as a medical tool. They carry him to the field hospital. He survives, barely. October 12, 1945. The White House. President Harry Truman awards Desmond Doss the Medal of Honor. Doss is the first conscientious objector to receive the nation's highest military decoration. Truman shakes his hand, looks him in the eye, and says, "You really deserve this. I'm proud of you." Doss is uncomfortable with the attention. He doesn't see himself as a hero. He sees himself as someone who did his duty. When reporters ask him how he saved 75 men alone, unarmed, under fire, he gives the same answer every time. "I was just trying to help. God did the rest, did the rest." But the men of B Company tell a different story. They talk about the medic who wouldn't carry a weapon but ran into fire to save them. They talk about the man their officers wanted to kick out, who ended up saving the officers' lives. They talk about the soldier everyone called a coward, who turned out to be the bravest man in the entire division. Captain Glover writes in his official report, "Private Doss refused to seek cover and remained in the fire-swept area, dressing the wounds of men, exposing himself to enemy fire without regard for his own safety. I've never seen anything like it. The soldiers who beat him in basic training write letters apologizing. The men who threatened to shoot him write to say they'd follow him anywhere. Because Desmond Doss proved something that most people never understand. Courage isn't about how many people you can kill. It's about how many you're willing to save." After the war, Doss goes home to Virginia. He marries Dorothy Schutte, his childhood sweetheart. They have one son, Desmond Jr. Doss never seeks fame, never capitalizes on his Medal of Honor. He works as a carpenter, just like his father, lives quietly, attends church every Sabbath. But the war follows him. The wounds in his legs never fully heal. Tuberculosis destroys one of his lungs, a result of the shrapnel and infections from Okinawa. He spends 5 years in a veterans hospital. The antibiotics they use to treat his TB cause him to lose his hearing. By the time he's 50, Desmond Doss is deaf, partially disabled, and in constant pain. He never complains. When veterans groups ask him to speak, he tells the same story. Not about the 75 men, about faith. about doing what's right, even when everyone says you're wrong, about serving without killing. The men he saved never forget him. For decades, they send him letters, his Christmas cards, photos of their children and grandchildren. They say, "You gave me a life." They write, "You gave me a family. Thank you." March 23, 2006. Piedmont, Alabama. Desmond Thomas Doss dies at age 87. By the time of his death, he saved more than just the 75 men on Hacksaw Ridge. He saved their children, their grandchildren, entire family trees that exist because one man refused to leave wounded soldiers behind. The funeral is attended by veterans from 3 wars. Men he saved, men who heard the story and were inspired. Men who served as medics because Desmond Doss proved it was possible to be a warrior without killing. One of the soldiers from B Company, now in his 80s, stands at the graveside and says, "He was the bravest man I ever knew, and he never fired a shot." Here's what the story of Desmond Doss teaches us. The world will tell you that strength comes from weapons, from violence, from the ability to destroy. But Hacksaw Ridge proved something different. Desmond Doss climbed a cliff into hell, unarmed, and saved 75 men while everyone else ran. He was mocked, beaten, court-martialed, and nearly kicked out of the army for refusing to kill. And then he became the most decorated soldier in his division. Not because he killed the enemy, because he saved his brothers. When Captain Glover tried to have Doss removed from the army, he argued that a soldier without a weapon was useless, dangerous, a liability. After Hacksaw Ridge, Glover wrote, "I've never been so wrong about anything in my life. Because here's the truth about war that most people don't understand. Killing the enemy is easy. Thousands of soldiers can do it. But running into fire to save lives, doing it over and over, refusing to quit when your body is broken and your hands are destroyed, that's rare, that's special." Desmond Doss had every reason to give up. He could have stayed at the bottom of Hacksaw Ridge with the rest of his company. He could have said, "I did my part. Someone else can save them." No one would have blamed him, but he didn't. He went back, alone, unarmed, into a battlefield controlled by the enemy. And he saved 75 men, one at a time, with a prayer and a rope. The Medal of Honor citation reads, "He was a company aid man when the 1st Battalion assaulted a jagged escarpment 400 feet high. As our troops gained the summit, a heavy concentration of artillery, mortar, and machine gun fire crashed into them, inflicting approximately 75 casualties and driving the others back. Private Doss refused to seek cover and remained in the fire-swept area with the many stricken, carrying them one by one to the edge of the escarpment, and there, lowering them on a rope-supported litter down the face of a cliff to friendly hands. One by one, that's the key phrase. Not in a burst of heroic energy, not in one dramatic moment, but over 12 hours, one soldier at a time, while the enemy hunted him and his body fell apart. President Truman said he'd rather have the Medal of Honor than be president. When he said it to Desmond Doss, he meant it. Because what Doss did can't be taught, he can't be trained, can't be replicated. It came from something deeper than courage. It came from faith, from a belief that every human life, even an enemy's life, has value, from a conviction that saving people is more important than killing them. The 75 men Desmond Doss saved went on to live full lives. They had children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren. That's the legacy of Hacksaw Ridge, not the battle, not the military strategy, not even the Medal of Honor, families, futures. All because Desmond Doss believed that faith without action is meaningless, and he acted on his faith every single day, even when it nearly killed him. The most decorated soldier, the bravest man on the battlefield, the one who changed how the army thinks about conscientious objectors, and he never fired a shot. That's Desmond Doss, the unarmed soldier who won a war by refusing to kill. If this story moved you the way it moved us, do me a favor, hit that like button. Every single like tells YouTube to show this story to more people. Hit subscribe and turn on notifications. We're rescuing forgotten stories from dusty archives every single day. Stories about tank loaders who fought with modified techniques and determination. Real people, real heroism. Drop a comment right now and tell us where you're watching from. Are you watching from the United States, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia? Our community stretches across the entire world. You're not just a viewer, you're part of keeping these memories alive. Tell us your location. Tell us if someone in your family served. Just let us know you're here. Thank you for watching, and thank you for making sure Desmond Doss don't disappear into silence. These men deserve to be remembered, and you're helping make that happen.